All right, welcome guys. This week we're going to learn about a couple different circuits, both series and parallel. You might have heard about series so far in your lessons up to this point, but we're just going to go into it in a lot greater detail. Now, today's lesson is really going to rely on your understanding of Ohm's law. So I want to start by recapping what you've already learned. Ohm's law. The base equation is V equals I times R. Now it's important you remember what those variables mean. V stands for the voltage, measured in volts. And in an analogy you might have learned about, you can kind of think of voltage as the pressure that pushes the flow of these electrons. I stands for current, measured in amps or amperes, usually just a capital A. You can think of current as that flow. So how much of a flow of electrons do we actually have? And R stands for resistance, measured in ohms or the omega symbol. This resists flow. So the more resistance you have, the less current. And so that's called an inverse relationship between those two variables, I and R. This is your base equation. You do need to know how to manipulate that, especially when it comes time for test time. If you are asked to solve for current, for example, you should know that that's going to be voltage divided by resistance, and resistance is going to be voltage divided by current. So if you remember your base equation, it should be pretty straightforward. So we will be talking about this week's series and parallel circuits, but today just focusing on series. In a series circuit, electricity only has one path to travel versus having several branches. It's just one simple path. And the bad thing about that is it's kind of vulnerable in the sense that if one part of the circuit fails, the whole circuit quits working. So if a bulb burns out or there's some corrosion on a wire, the whole thing is going to fail. And so I always think of, if you've ever seen the movie Christmas Vacation with Chevy Chase, there's a part in there where he's going to light up all his lights on his roof and they don't work. So he sends his son up there to check every single bulb, which would be super obnoxious to have to do. But the reason he had to do that was because back then, Christmas lights were sold in series circuit. And so, yeah, if one bulb goes out, the whole thing is out. If you've seen the movie, you know it had nothing to do with that. In fact, it was on a switch that they weren't aware of. And luckily today we've improved it so that they're actually on parallel, and I'll talk about how that's different on another day. The resistance in a series circuit is really simple to calculate because you just total the resistors. So if you can add numbers together, then that's going to be a simple one for you. And then the other thing to note is that the more resistors you have, the greater you're going to reduce current. Remember, resistors oppose the flow of current in series, and so having a lot of those is going to really dwindle the current. And what you'd usually observe if you're using bulbs, for example, is that they will dim. So we're going to dig deep into these three concepts. So the first example has a schematic or a drawing of a series circuit, which you should be familiar with these symbols. The voltage source can be drawn as 2 lines or 4 lines. You might have learned it as. Either one is fine, as long as they're alternating long and short, indicating your positive and negative. So here's our voltage source, probably a battery, and here's our 3 resistors. Maybe they're light bulbs in this case. The arrow here is just indicating that there's a flow of electrons going on. Now this is a series circuit because there's only one continuous path. There's no multiple branches or channels for electrons to flow. So that's how I know it's a series circuit. Now let's say I give you values. Resistor 1 is equal to 8 ohms, so is resistor 2, and then resistor 3 is a little less at 4 ohms. To calculate the total resistance of the circuit is really simple. You just need to add those numbers together. So 8 plus 8 plus 4 gives us my 20 ohm resistance. It says, what is the current through the circuit if there is a 10 volt battery? Now, to solve this, we are going to have to go back to Ohm's law. I is going to be equal to voltage divided by resistance. And in this problem, I give you, okay, 10 volts. And you're going to divide by the total resistance in the circuit, landing you at 0.5 amps. That's a small number, and that's pretty typical. Not a lot of current going on here, but you don't need a lot of current to power these appliances or whatever we're using here. Okay, so voltage and current in a series circuit. I want to just kind of have these all kind of show up. So the first thing I noted here is in a series circuit, the current is the same everywhere in the circuit. That's a super important point because it's very different from the other type of circuit we're going to learn about. But I like to think of it as like a river channel. If we had all sorts of different branches for this river to flow into, then you would measure different flows at different places. But if there's just one channel dug for this river to kind of flow, it really wouldn't matter if you're measuring here or even measuring over here. The flow of that water would read a consistent reading. And so the same is true for the current or the flow of electrons in a series circuit. It doesn't matter where you measure. If you know the amps, and looks like I'm given that in the problem here, 2 amps at this location, if you know that, it doesn't matter where you'd measure, you'd get that same value. The voltage drop across each resistor, however, is going to be different. And it's going to be dependent upon what the resistance is. And I'll show you how to calculate that in just a second. One thing to note is that the voltage drops do have to add up to the total battery's voltage. So it's a really good way to check your work. So a couple questions associated with this example. What is the current on location A and B? Well, like I said, this is a problem where I actually gave you the current at one spot. And because it's consistent at all places, it doesn't matter where it's A, B, whatever, it's 2 amps. The voltage across A, B, and C is a little bit more involved. I'm going to use Ohm's law, V equals I times R. So focusing on location A, I'm going to use the current that we know is flowing through the circuit and multiply it by the resistance value at that location. So 2 amps times the 15 ohms gives us our 30 volts at that spot. So that's a voltage drop, we say that as. At voltage spot B, we're going to do the same process where we've got 2 amps multiplied by the resistance at that spot, and we'll get 50 volts. Now, you're not given the resistance value at location C, which might make you think you can't solve it, but understanding that the voltages have to add up to the battery's voltage, to figure out that voltage drop, all you have to do is take the total, 100 volts, that's the battery, and subtract what you've got so far. It looks like we've got 80 volts accounted for so far. So 100 minus 80 gives us 20 volts that drops across here. So it's kind of a backdoor way to solve it. Now, one example is never enough to understand this, so I want to give you another one. So in this example, we again have one battery, and so we've got 90 volts. We've got a few resistors here, 30 ohms, 10 ohms, 20 ohms. I want to just outline some things that we know already. We know the total voltage is 90 volts because that's given in the problem. We see that there's just one voltage source. To figure out the total resistance, add those resistors together. It looks like we get 60 ohms. If I want to know what is the flow or what is the current traveling through this circuit, I'm going to have to calculate it by taking our total voltage divided by total resistance. 90 volts divided by 60 ohms gives us 1.5 amps. And that's, again, the same no matter where you measure that value. But what about the voltage drops across each resistor? Remember, current remains constant at 1.5 amps, and the voltage drops should eventually add up to 90 volts, so we know how to check our work. So focusing on this location here, the voltage drop at the first resistor is going to be our current times the resistance at that spot. 1.5 amps times the 30 ohms gives us 45 volts. The second one, we do the same thing, again, constant 1.5 amps times the resistor value there, 10, gives us 15 volts. And then our final spot, current times our third resistor, so 1.5 amps times 20 ohms, gives us our 30 volts. So let's check to make sure that's right. We add up those 3 voltage drops, and it should equal the voltage of the battery. And in fact, it is. So that's how I know I did it right there. Now, one important thing to note is that the higher the resistance there was, like this one right here, the greater the voltage drop. That was the highest number we got. And what that means actually is that it's going to burn brighter as a bulb. And so, just to give you a preview, you're going to be doing a lab in a couple days, a virtual lab where you construct circuits. And I've done this exact thing here. So, oops. So if I have these three bulbs plugged into this simulation, that first one that had the highest resistance, I think it was 30 ohms, burns the brightest. The one with 20 ohms was the medium one, and the one with only 10 ohms is the dimmest of all. So that's a relationship to kind of note there. Now, what happens if you add more resistors or if you just keep tagging on more bulbs? Here's just a slightly different picture where I've just snuck in a couple extra bulbs, each at 10 ohms. Total voltage still the same. Total resistance, however, we'll have to re-add. So doing so, it looks like we've got 80 ohms. What about the current though? Current is voltage divided by resistance. So we'll take our 90 volts and now divide by 80 instead. And it looks like we've got a current now of 1.125 amps. So it's decreased. Our last example with the three bulbs had 1.5 amps. So this leads us to a really, really important conclusion. Adding resistors in series, so adding a bunch of bulbs, decreases the overall current. Now, what that means is that the bulbs will dim. It'll be very visible to you the more you add there. But what's also interesting is that it actually is decreasing the current. It's going to make your battery last longer. And the reason being, think about that, there's kind of a less demand going on there, less draw on current. And so your battery is actually going to use up less voltage and it'll last a lot longer. And so you might think of this as an advantage, like, sweet, why don't we just have a ton of bulbs in circuit? Well, the thing is, remember, they dim. And so it's kind of diminishing returns. You keep adding more bulbs, you're going to hardly notice that they're lit at all after a while. Yeah, your battery lasts longer, but at what cost? They get kind of useless. This is going to be very, very different from a parallel circuit that we'll look at in a couple of days here. Actually, probably tomorrow, where everything's kind of turned around. And so let's recap. Series circuit, one path for electrons to flow. Current, as a result, remains constant. The resistance is simple to calculate. You just add those values together. But the more resistors you have, less current is drawn. When you do that, the bulbs are going to dim, but it uses less voltage, again, causing your battery to last longer, have a longer life. The sum of the voltage drops has to equal the battery's voltage. Okay, so those are the examples we went through there. Now, this was a lot. If you're feeling like you need another example with better artistry, I am going to post an optional link in your Schoology assignment area that should be pretty clear, where you can watch a guy named Paul Hewitt go through an additional couple examples. If you're feeling like, I got this, no problem, you don't have to watch it, but I will supply an additional link for that, just to kind of hammer it home. I can't restate enough how important it is for you to jot notes down as this is going. Series and parallel are complicated things, and so it's going to be really important that you know the difference. Don't just let this wash over you and think you'll remember it, because trust me, you won't. So jot notes down, draw examples as I go through them here, and then when it comes time to take a test, you'll have everything kind of in one place. All right. No additional assignment today, other than if you want to watch that second link that I'll post. Tomorrow we'll cover parallel circuit, and then we'll also have a quiz later in the week that makes sure you understand the difference between these two. So thanks for watching.